You're listening to Lyfe and Shyt. I'm Daneyel Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, Mrs. Walker?
What's up, baby? How are you?
I feel like I just had an insane therapy session.
I just found out my bike has a flat tire.
Your bike got a flat tire?
Sorry.
Oh.
That's what they said.
That was one of the things I was always dreading, that a bike would get over. So now we got to take it over to the truck to get it fixed.
Or they'll fix it. We'll figure it out.
See what happens when you let somebody hold your stuff? That's like old school kid shit. See what happens when I let you hold my stuff?
Yep. I mean, it's one of those things. I didn't even hear this saying until I was an adult, that you don't mess your stuff up. Other people mess your stuff up, right?
Oh, we've been saying that for a long time.
But I didn't even know that until I was an adult. And then legit. Like, I know why people were like, this is mine.
So you had that bike since like December.
Yep.
Riding it like crazy.
All over. For miles.
Doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now it got a flat
Yeah.
because you let somebody else hold it. Are you sure it's your bike, not my bike?
Yeah, apparently.
It's the teal one.
It's the teal one. It's like, I asked that too. Like, oh, wait, so perhaps it's the wrong one.
Oh, man. That is crazy, not funny.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's going to come back to us.
Yeah.
So
it's all good.
So you know what is inside joke stuff? Like, this weekend was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then to talk about that right now, it's another inside joke. We'll probably talk about it in a different podcast because we have something we want to talk about today. But we can pivot and just freestyle that if we want to. And then we just had an insane conversation with our producer, Michael Taylor. And that was, I mean, that conversation, like, we were supposed to start an hour ago.
Yeah,
and we probably was literally just sitting here having a little therapy moment.
Yeah, hashing shit out.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to, right?
Oh, man. It's good stuff, though.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So I got a question for you.
All right, hit me.
What is more damaging in a relationship? Infidelity or financial infidelity?
That's a hard one. I feel like laughing really hard. Like,
You silly.
they're both horrible. Financial infidelity. I don't know. I say this, and when we wrote it, I said it so carefully, like so carelessly, rather. Like, I'd rather you cheat on me than cheat on me with my money. You know what I mean? But when someone cheats on you, the pain that comes with that is it hurts, and so I don't know why, but I kind of feel different about it now. Like, I can make money back. You know what I mean? But the way that I feel after that has happened, it's kind of painful. You know, but when we first did it, my thoughts was, just don't play with my money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care who you just go ahead, have her, who you have sex with, you know, just don't play with my money. So now I feel like I can make that money back. Just don't, don't play with my honey.
So you can be swayed either way, just depending on what the circumstances is happening.
It feels like it. I mean, I guess I've experienced both, and they both hurt very fucking bad. The financial infidelity was just a little bit easier to get over.
So when you talk about financial infidelity, that's when basically somebody cheats on you about the money, especially as a couple, right? So
it's when someone is hiding or lying about financial matters, right?
Exactly.
Within the relationship.
And one thing about couples, you know, at what point do financials become one, right? It's like if we've been together for 6 months, or, you know, after 6 months now we got a baby, or after 8 months, you know, all of a sudden now all of our finances are together. Is there a certain timeline or time, you know, as far as when we should start merging finances and becoming one?
Is there a timeline?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a timeline. I think that all couples are kind of guided by whatever they feel. I know married couples that have been married for years and they still don't mix finances. They pay for everything separate and everything is kind of yours and mine. And they keep it that way because it seems simple and kind of like stress free for them. And I guess that's kind of one of those times or one of those situations where he has money, she has money, right? So I guess there was never a need to really mix those finances.
Okay.
So I think that in some situations there's a need, right? So it's like you guys got together not only because you love each other, you want to be with each other and you have great sex or whatever, right? But financially you could help each other out. You know,
and leverage each other up.
Yeah.
So I just seen a episode or a podcast with Mary J. Blige on it, and Mary J. Blige was saying if you are a wealthy woman, you need to get a prenup because you know she was in a situation where she actually had to pay out alimony to her husband, right? So she had someone that didn't have money, but she had money, and then she had to pay out. Right, because they merge their finances together.
Well, if you're a wealthy woman or a wealthy man, yes, protect your assets, right? Especially if it's someone who has one of my favorite. Is it Rick Ross lines? You wasn't shooting with me in the gym. Said if you wasn't shooting with me in the gym. I'm just saying, if you, like Kobe, he was giving a reference to Kobe. You guys don't know that song. It's giving a reference to Kobe's wife divorcing him and getting
Drake.
tons of. Oh,
it was Drake and Rick Ross song together. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but Drake said he's like, I can't believe Kobe had to give up 150 M's.
Yeah, 150 million. Yeah, like I mean, and she didn't dribble not one basketball. You know what I mean? Like she had no like
she wasn't out there on the court. No championship.
Yeah, she didn't give anything, but she did. You know, she gave him 2 beautiful children. She gave him her time. She put herself and her career and you know all that other things on the side. Yeah, and him. She took care of him. You know as well. So I mean, there's things that she probably could have done. Perhaps she could have been making 150 mil. You know,
it's funny that you bring that up because totally off topic, but we'll get back to the topic. I seen an article today that she may or may not be dating Derek Fisher.
Stop it.
Yeah, exactly. The internet is terrible.
Derek Fisher?
Yeah, the internet is terrible. So for y'all, I just want everybody to understand the internet. Nobody is safe. Like nobody is safe. So if something gets out on the internet, like especially now, like the older the internet gets, the worse. Where nobody is safe. So
all I'm gonna say is Derek Fisher is probably one of them sneaky ass little motherfuckers.
and that's the point that it brought up. It talked about how the first issue with him and Matt Barnes and how he was dating Matt Barnes' ex-wife and how him and Matt Barnes was team members, and, like they was teammates and all this other stuff. And but
he's a consoler.
Yeah, but you don't know how true it is, right? But they said she went to a WNBA All-Star game, and at the WNBA All-Star game, she was sitting next to Derek Fisher. Now, of course, don't let nobody sit next to nobody, and they take a picture because then all of a sudden. Is out there, but it's funny that you say that because I literally seen that today.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
He was consoling that soul, like it's okay, girl. Like when he cheated, probably the first time he was there, it's all good, girl. Then he's like, oh, you got back with him. Now he's like, I'm still here.
And that's why he lost his job as a New York Knicks coach, which I didn't know that.
Oh,
yeah, back in 2015, 2016. I was like
oh, there it is.
It's like, yo, the internet. The internet, it's the internet. I'm not saying it's true or not. All I'm saying is the internet.
Hold that, okay.
Like, yo, the internet, don't trust it sometimes.
Oh, Lord.
So it's crazy. Sure all right, so we was talking about rich people getting prenups and all that. But for people like us, when we got together, we wasn't rich. So we had our little circumstances of how we wanted to budget. And we talked about finances before. Like we got an episode of how you pay half the bills and all that stuff. And you have a process with your budgeting. And you took care of the budget for a significant amount of time, right?
Until we actually made money.
Yeah. I like how you always say that. Yeah. When we started making money, then you was like, "Yep, that was it."
Yeah, that was. Then you're like, maybe I should take care of some of this, you know? As the way I grew up, first off, it's like I've bust my ass since I was a kid to make sure that I had money. You know what I mean? So I got to the point where money is not one of those things that I stress over. I just know that I'm going to be provided for. Money's going to flow. And that's just the way that I feel. And it's the way that it is. So with that, I don't take a lot of value on like, oh, how much do I make? Or how much is this? Or how much is that? And you're always like, whoa, 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 babe.
Yes.
You do make this or you do that. And once it started to get on a grander scale, I got a little bit nervous and was like, okay, maybe you should take care of this.
And why is that? Like, what made you nervous about the money that you were making?
I didn't want to misuse it, and that would lead to one of my one of the shitty parts of my financial budgeting. You know, because I had a hard time with like just. I don't know, just making sure things were paid, or sometimes I would rob Peter to pay Paul when I didn't have to.
Did you feel like paying bills was overwhelming sometimes, or
no,
or just like keeping up with shit was overwhelming? No.
So I mean, and things are like on automatic, so you just like boom, you know what I mean?
Not back then.
No,
it wasn't that automatic.
Yeah, but a lot of things were. It was pretty simple. It was easy to take care of the basic bills. I would say when we started adding businesses to the bills, right?
Yeah.
I mean, by all means, if you would say like, oh, take care of all the household bills, then that's fine, right? Mm-hmm. But then when you start adding the business to it, distributions and
taxes,
profits, stuff like that, and where to go in the right spaces and the right places, that's when I was like, I would rather, and I understand how people are like, oh, I'd rather someone else like manage my money just to make sure that it's in the right space and place. Now I always have to have my eyes on it, of course, right? But I mean, as far as me taking care of it, it's like
So I respected the way you did it, because you was old school. You wrote everything down, and then I came with the spreadsheets. I was like, all right, babe, let's get away from this notebook. I got this cool ass spreadsheet. This is what's coming in. This is what's going out. It's automatic. Like everything, it calculates what it is, and then what's left, that's what we could spend. And we put it in the savings and all that. And you was like, oh, okay, that looks cool. All right, let's roll your way.
Yeah, because for mine was the same, but I was just literally writing it all down, and I like that. And that's literally how the change happened. Once it became on the spreadsheet and digital, and not something physical, which I still honestly have all my financial all my financial journals. So I kept them in little journals, right? And it would be like, this is what I got on the 1st, and this is what I got on the 15th. This is how much the bills were. This is how much is left, and blah, 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 right?
And couples always ask us, you know, like, how do we do that? Because when we got together, we did have separate accounts, but then, you know, then it became a point, because I was homeless, right? So I didn't have, it wasn't like I had any money. You know, I was just starting my job, and I couldn't take care of anything. So that's why you took care of everything, is because you literally paid for everything.
That's part of the reason. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean,
that's true.
To be 100%, you know, 100%. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like, you literally paid for everything, and then my little paycheck, then when I did get it, you know, because I had to pay child support, and so it was like, after child support, this is what's left, babe. And you was like, oh, okay, I'll go buy some popcorn with that.
Oh no, I was like, you should probably keep that, more than likely, right? Like, I was like, So, and that's one of the things, like, open and honest communication is needed for couples to be able to be financially like supportive with each other, and to have kind of this clarity in finances, and to trust each other, because we can't trust each other in finances. I mean, we can't trust each other in your relationship. Like, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same.
So financially, if you can't have an open and honest communication, then it sucks. And it's like one of those things where, like I just told you, like I was paying Peter robbing Peter rather to pay Paul, as they say. And that's just the way that I grew up, right? It was like, you always keep a little bit. You don't give all your money to the bills, you know, like, it's just like, you just don't do that, you know? And I would always have a little bit in the kitty, right? Like, I always call my little financial pockets kitties.
Everything's a kitty.
So I have a little bit in a kitty, and you know, you pay everything else, and then you keep something just in case. You never know, you know, you want to have a little fun, or you want to do this, or and that's just the way that I was brought up, and that annoyed the shit out of you.
It did. But the one thing about couples and when they ask us about, merging accounts and budgeting and finance and all that, I think the biggest thing is like, what are you spending money on? Right? It's that interrogation.
Yeah, that's not fair. You know what I mean? I recall a lot you would say, I'm glad you make your own money. I mean, and that would be, I'd be like, shit, me too. Yeah. Because I can buy whatever the hell I want. You know what I mean? So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's because you buy everything. It's a sale. I need to buy it.
I don't buy everything, y'all. I do not.
But one of the things, like we have friends, like I literally have friends that went through financial infidelity where, they went through a bad breakup and their account was wiped out. So I understand stuff like that. Like you can't control stuff like that, right? And people are like, well, what if they take everything out of the account and then just run away? That's one of those one-off things, right? Like if you're in love with somebody and you're trying to build a life together, that should be at the back of your head, unless you got some baggage and that's happened to you before.
And then that's not infidelity. That's like someone like leaving you, right? That's like worse than. I mean, I guess it's the same thing, right? But
it's like I took everything.
Yeah, they didn't cheat, but they left you, right? Like that does suck. I don't know, but I don't know. That's a hard one.
Wiping out the account.
Yeah, it's like that's rough. I mean, how do you get back from that? I too have a friend who was married, but it seems as if that financial like kind of bullshit happens once they separate. You know what I mean? Like that's the main, like the biggest ones. Like you said, the wiping out of the account. The only reason you wipe out the account is because you're out. And a friend, she's like, he just took over $150,000 out of the account, like crushed. And this is like your joint account, So those times that kind of sucks, But if you guys have like these shared financial goals, as couples, and you're saying like, this is what we want to achieve. I think that is some pretty cool things, and a cool way to share your finances, and to not have financial infidelity. If you say like, listen, at the end of this year, we want to buy a house, or at the end of this year, we want to get new cars, or, you know what I mean? If you have a good financial goals, I think that you can make it. If you create a great, like a joint budget, which goes into how we have our finances now. We have an account that's a house account, and then we each have our own separate accounts, right? And I think that having that joint account and creating a joint budget works.
Do you remember when we started that?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah. It was one of those things where, so for a long time, all of our money was in one account. And we didn't have separate accounts. Everything went into one account, and then we paid bills, and then what was left, we kind of took out in cash. And it was like, all right, this is your cash, this is my cash. And then we got paid again. It went into that one account. And then eventually, like you said, when we started making more money, it was like, all right, bills are taken care of. We got cash. Now we want to spend stuff, but you didn't want me to see what you bought for me and vice versa. Yeah. And it was like, well, if I want to buy you something, I don't want you to be like, well, oh, you didn't have to do that. You spent too much money on me.
It's like I see all your money. Yeah. I can see everything you're doing too.
Exactly. So it was a guilt trip. So it was like, all right, let's build out these separate accounts. And then now you have your account and I have my account, which technically we can still see.
Some, because we still have separate accounts that we can't see.
That one account. And that just started though. But even for a long time still, we can still see each other's accounts. And then it was like, all right, all the bills are paid out of this account. And then we pay ourselves out and don't ask me about what I spend. Right. And that's just having an adult conversation. Right. Like, yo, everything that, as far as the house goes is taken care of. Right. Now, whatever I do with my money is what I do with my money. And don't interrogate me. Exactly. If I want to buy you something nice, I want to buy you something nice. If I want to go splurge, I go splurge.
If I just want to save it, sit on it, I'm going to save it and sit on it. You know what I mean?
As long as you don't come and ask me for $100.
Then there's a problem.
Then there's a problem. Because then I'm going to say, what you been spending your money on?
That's true.
Yeah. Babe, could you hit me with $100 until...
What? I haven't done that. You thought I did it before, but I didn't. It's
Yeah.
like, what? No.
Real shit.
Oh, and that's just like what, financial privacy or financial, like, I don't know, like individuality, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a what's mine is what's yours, because we clearly share everything. But then at the same time, we have to have some individuality when it comes to our finances. You know what I mean? And then another thing, ladies, like I say all the time, I'm sure I've said this in other podcasts before, but like my mom always taught me to have some mad cash. So women, you gotta have some mad cash, because you never know what the hell will happen, where you may have to leave and you may need a room, you may need a to rent a car. Always have money to the side that man can't touch and doesn't even know about, that you can do that with, you know, just in case. I mean, shit, something might happen to him. You know what I'm saying? And you may have to run, or anything may happen, you know? Just make sure you have that extra. I mean, something may happen in your relationship together. You may have a financial emergency. And one thing I love to do is to be like, aha, I got this little extra money, you know what I mean? And you'd be like, what? Like, how did you get this from?
Yeah. No lie. When Daneyel she pull out like, oh, I got this cash, I'll be like, where you get that cash from? She's like, it actually just happened. Like we was in Atlanta.
Yep.
We was in Atlanta, and she was like, I forgot I had this $500. Now,
Cash.
she wanted to shout out to ladies. My guys, how the fuck did you forget you have $500 in your pocket? Nobody forgets they got $500 in their pocket.
I remember.
You remember when you seen it.
when it was needed.
Yeah, it was like, literally, you pulled it out like somebody pulled $20 out of the washing machine. I was like, really? Now, granted, Daneyel and I have shared accounts, right? We have the house account. But then sometimes you got to dig into that house account for a little bailout, right? So we have our own little personal bailouts.
Yeah.
And Daneyel bailed herself out a few times out of the house account. She'll text me. She texts me. She's like, yo, I tapped into the house account. I'll pay it back later. I'm like, but that's the conversations that we could have. I'm like, all right, cool. As long as you pay it back, no problem.
Yeah, it's true.
So
sometimes I'll pay it back out. Sometimes I be forgetting. I ain't gonna lie. That part. See, that's my infidelity. Like, you don't pay that money back, and that's how that money came up. He was like, "Well, we got to go get money. Like, you got money?" I'm like, "Well, I gotta have money. You owe the house money, right?" I was like, "Oh yeah." But I'll be honest. The reason I took the money out of the house account was because my account wasn't working at the casino.
Casino.
I took out $200 and won $600.
And then you took out
and
how
I
much
forgot
more?
about it. Well, no. Well, I'm not talking about the first night. I was just talking about the second night. Total, I took out $300 from the house account. Total, I got $600 back. Yeah, my car started working again. So
inconveniently start. This is like when when we go to lunch or dinner, and she be like, "Oh, I forgot my wallet, my whole wallet." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Every time we go out,
and wink to the waitress like,
yeah. So we in Atlanta, and Daneyel pulls out the 500, and I was like, "Yo, all right, boom, we got cash. I don't got to go to the ATM machine. We good." She's like, "What do you mean we good?" This is my money. I was like, hold up, what? I'm like, yo, didn't you just hit the ATM for the account 3 weeks ago? Oh, I forgot about that. I was like, and legit, she's like, her face was so passionate of how she forgot. Like, she was literally like, oh, I did do that. I forgot. I was like, okay.
This is my winnings. You know, you win, you feel like, it's my winnings.
So that's fucking hilarious.
That is.
That's fucking hilarious.
So another way that couples can stay on track and build this and not have financial infidelity is regular check-ins, right?
Yeah.
So if one person holds the financial responsibility, or if you both kind of pay this or that, or I always think it's better for one person to take care of it and then to have the check-ins. So we have monthly check-ins, right? Where it's just like, okay, where is the finances at? Where are they right now? We both have access to all the finances, all the accounts, except for each other's personal ones, the ones that we just have, right? I actually have two, right? I have Allie, and then I have Greenwood, two separate accounts. But As long as we check in, and I never have any problem telling you like what the balance is on those accounts at all. Like if you ever even asked, like, what is the balance? You can't touch it, so you know what I mean. Like, but you can tell, you can know what's in there if you want.
No, but to your point on why you got to have this access and understanding, because if something, like you said earlier, is if something happens, right? So if something happens to me, and we go through this conversation a lot. So if something happens to me, we have this plan, and I tell Danielle all the time, go to this, do this. This is the website. Go to this path, and then we have a trust and all this other stuff. But when you're going through shit, you still got to have those conversations. You know what I mean? And you still need to know, because you're going to be all fucked up in the head, and you don't know where to go. Like I know we got money, but where do I need to go? I know we had this conversation all the time. So having it in a trust makes it easy. So then you know where everything is. But then there's some things that might not be in the trust, but at least we still talk about. So to your point, yes, we do a monthly check-in, and we go through, but we do the monthly check-in because we have the business accounts. Yeah. So it's like, all right, this is what we got business-wise, this is what we got personal, and this is where we are, this is where we're trying to go. If we had a bad month, we got to dial it back. If we had a great month, pop some champagne, whatever the case may be. But we're transparent in all the finances. And whenever somebody spends it, even if you say like, oh, I just dropped, a couple $1,000s on a vacation, and I'm like, all right, cool, pay for that this way. So we have the assets pay for things. And that's one thing about, as a couple, if you could get assets to pay for your bills, then that's huge. Yeah. And when I say your assets pay for your bills, that means that you have multiple streams of income, and instead of whatever your primary job is or your primary income, then you have, investments or whatever the case may be, paying your bills. And that's huge. That helps out 1,000%. Truly. And like, right now, personally, you have one of the assets paying a credit card bill. And that's the way that, like, honestly, that's cool shit right there. And that's where you ultimately, if you get there, that's a good spot.
Yeah, definitely. How do you deal with irresponsible spending and debt accumulation in a marriage? All right. Have you ever had to deal with that besides me? Well, my irresponsible spending was of my own, and I'll admit that when I didn't come from a place of credit cards, right? So I didn't know what credit cards were, and I thought that because I had a damn credit card, I could use it. I didn't think of how much. I didn't think of that $17 item that I was buying was gonna eventually cost me like $30. Yeah. I didn't think that way, and so when I first got my credit cards, because when we first got together, what we talked about, I didn't have good credit. I didn't have bad credit, but I just didn't really have established credit, right? Credit. Yeah. And then once I established credit, those credit cards was like rolling in, and I really quickly could have taken us, and that's one of the differences when it comes to couples and finances, right? Because I would have taken us into financial disaster. And then one of the things that you said to me, because it takes us to buy houses, or it doesn't always have to take us. It could take one, right? As long as you have good credit and you took care of your stuff, right? But it was like, hey, if you want to have tore up credit, go ahead, and I'm just gonna buy things on my own. And it's like, oh wait, no.
And then everything's in my name.
Yeah, right? yeah.
You don't want that.
Exactly. So like, women and men, clean up your credit. Be responsible. Be mature. We haven't talked about credit scores yet, but it's one of the things that I tell my daughter. Like, your credit score is your report card, basically, right? It's a credit report. It's a report of how you financially take care of business or don't.
We did. That was a podcast.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But to your question, it was the lack of education, right? That's how you deal with it. So it's coming from a sense of understanding. Like, I understood that you didn't come from that, so therefore I didn't beat you up about that. I didn't jump down your throat like, oh, why the fuck? It was like, all right, you don't have this education. I didn't have that education, but I studied it. It was like, all right, this is, and it's funny because the military taught me a lot of that, and I was like, all right, this is what we need to do. This is how we're going to get there, and if you use this, pay it off, but leverage it, points, all this other stuff, and you took it. Because you could have fought it. You'd have been like, don't tell me what I... Like, you could have been the person that said, don't tell me, and act like you already knew, and then probably went to go somebody else and say, is he right? But instead, you're like, all right, cool, thank you. And I'm going to move forward with that. And that's how... But we did have a point where you was I was on one of your credit cards and you was using it, and I seen my credit score going down, and I was like, hey, check this out.
Lord,
take me off that credit. and I'm telling you, in a relationship, don't be afraid to be like, yo, I don't need to be on those credit cards.
Yeah,
like have your stuff, I'll have my stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to credit, keep it separate. But at the same time, if you have goals, you gotta have that both of you gotta have that 700 plus credit score to make sure that you have the opportunity to pick up whatever asset that you need, and you gotta leverage your credit.
Yeah, by all means, though, don't put yourself in a power imbalance where one person controls all the finances and you are in the complete dark. I want to say, like, as a woman, there's so many women that tell me all the damn time, keep your eyes on the finances, keep your eyes on the finances. And I'm like, okay, like, my eyes are they're wide open and on the finances, right? But there's no power imbalance. You know what I mean? Like, no one has more control over the finances than the other person. And I think that's pretty cool in our regards. And I think that in all relationships that it should be that way.
Yeah,
and that's why if ever you make a crazy investment that I don't feel, I'm like, well, if I find the investment and that's crazy like that, then I'm gonna make the same thing. But I'm just not that. Another reason why I'm just not that. I'm not that bold with my finances. I'm more of a save type person and secure investment type person.
Yeah, like a mutual fund investment, and I'm more risky.
Yeah, well,
I'm super risky.
Yeah, I'll risk it, but it'll be in different things, fun things, not things that are gonna take. I don't know when I'll ever get this money back type things.
Like the casino. you take risk in the casino.
No, I take other risks. It's not about business risks, but casino risks. I only go sometimes. I don't let him. I don't know what he's talking about. I ever take risk in the casino. I've been to the casino probably maybe once this year, and that was when I was in Tennessee. I am not a casino person. I do not even yearn or even desire to go to the casino ever. So I'm not a casino person. That is not where I.
Okay.
Dang, I just want to make sure it's not where I make my investments.
I was making fun of your $500 that you came up on. But open and transparent communication are the cornerstones to a successful budgeting in a relationship. So make sure that when you're having those conversations, remove the ego. At the end of the day, remove the ego. And one of the biggest components when finances come up is who makes the most money. And when someone makes more money, that's when things kind of get real sticky. So relationships, once you open up your heart and you say, hey, we're in this together, then it's not about who makes the most money. At the end of the day, is you make your money, I make my money. If we have goals and we're building together, then it just means you have your lane and you have your strengths and you have your job. I have mine, and then that's how we're going to come together. And that's the most important thing that I want you to take away from this is understand that we all have our roles, and if you establish those roles early on, then that's everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you have any hidden debt or any secret things that you like to do that cost finances and you're lying about them, just know those can all cause your marriage to go into debt, into default. And you don't want that. Be honest, be open, share, save together, have goals, financial goals. Talk about money. Don't be afraid to talk about money. Talk about the lack of, talk about the abundance of, talk about what you're going to do when you have it. Talk about what you're going to do when you don't have it. Talk to your children about it. Just don't be afraid of money.
Yeah, 1,000%. That I'm glad you said that, because it's about having understanding. It's about respect. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, if I respect you, then I could respectfully have this conversation with you.
Your truth. And respect your money.
Exactly. And then we could grow together. Mm-hmm. Right? And then and it's not about the money, honestly. It's about the dream. Like you said, it's about the dreams and the goals. Mm-hmm. It's about this life that we have together. Mm-hmm. Benjamin Franklin said, be aware of little expenses, because a small leak can sink a big ship. Mm-hmm. And that's legit. Like, you got to pay attention to these little things. And if someone is, if you really don't know about money, man or woman, like, hey, I don't know how to budget. Can you help me out? Or, hey, let's have a conversation. Can we work on this budget together? Because at the end of the day, I want to win. I want to win with you. So let's win together.
I agree. Without proper contingency planning, when it comes to finances, then there's always going to be a financial strain or stress on the relationship. So I just encourage everyone to have a financial plan.
That's life and shit.
Life and shit.
Love
You too, baby.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.